What's going on, ladies and lads? It's your resident pro gamer Pigusama, and today I want to talk about Disney's latest piece of cynic cinema, The Adventures of Cruella de Vil. Now, if I remember my Disney lore correctly, Cruella was originally a blatantly evil person who hated the poor and wanted to make a coat from puppies for simplistic reasons. Well, that just isn't good enough for this post-ironic culture of cynics and sinners, and now Cruella must have a moral justification to want to skin puppies. Yes, Disney has attempted to make the puppy haters sympathetic, because if there's one thing we need in today's society, it's a justification for our moral actions. Sure, we constantly other people while complaining about being othered. Sure, we are just as cruel to our enemy when given power as they were to us. But at least I can dress as this bad bitch for Halloween. Don't I look cute? Spoilers ahead, ladies and lads, if you actually care. We begin with Cruella as a child named Estella. I know, it's pretty lazy. Estella is a creative child with a talent for fashion, but she has a cruel streak in her, leading her mother Catherine to nickname her Cruella. What we presented here is not evil, but rather a child with a propensity for revenge. The movie starts by attempting to portray Cruella as a misunderstood youth, a well-meaning and even brilliant child, sabotaged by her own propensity for cruelty. The movie attempts to place cruelty in the same sphere of moral failure as something like procrastination or nervousness. It's just a tick, silly boys. So Cruella, born Estella, is attending a party with her mother at the castle of a woman known as the Baroness. That evening, her mother is comically attacked by the Baroness's Dalmatians, who perform a triple team Liu Kang bicycle kick off of a cliff. It wasn't enough that Cruella could be an evil person competing with another person, no. The movie saw fit to give Cruella a justification for her future actions. See, in the new Disney universe, there is no good and evil, right or wrong. It's all relative. Cruella may have mean tendencies, but the Baroness just pushed her mom off a cliff, so she must be the hero, relatively speaking. Even people who do twisted, evil, nightmarish things, like Disney executives, must have a moral justification for this, because the concept of something just being bad, like turning a dog into a fur coat, is too grim a reality for Disney and its loyal fan base of 30-somethings to accept. Estella, now orphaned, befriends two young street urchins, and together they become competent thieves helped along by Estella's fashion skills. Eventually she gets a job at a department store, where one of her window displays, which she creates in a drunken hear-me-roar stupor, catches the eyes of the Baroness, who takes her on as an apprentice. Slowly, Estella realizes the Baroness was the one who actually killed her mother, and she dons the persona of Cruella to seek revenge, reassuming her natural hair color and wearing lavish dress. That's right, lads. Cruella is her superhero persona. You're watching a cape film, and the black-white combo was her real hair the entire time. Past this point in the movie, Cruella, seeking revenge for her mother's murder at the hands of the vicious combat-trained Dalmatians, starts showing up at the Baroness's parties and upstaging her dress. The whole time, her childhood friend Anita is writing articles that increase her fame. Yes, the Anita who owns the Dalmatians in the original is now retconned in a Lucasfilm C-3PO tier piece of screenwriting to be Cruella's childhood friend. Now, this part of the plot is actually structurally sound. I think it's pretty smart. Cruella wants to take away what the Baroness loves before destroying her. It's all very Shakespearean. If only I could actually bring myself to give a shit about Cruella's comical struggle. This movie would play so much better without the myriad attempts to make me identify with her. If they played it straight as evil villain versus evil villain, I would enjoy this movie a lot more. Cruella later sabotages the Baroness's spring show while hosting her own in a rather famous London park. The Baroness then realizes that Cruella and Estella are the same person and kidnaps her, leaving her to die in a fire. After being rescued by the Baroness's valet, because you just can't get good help these days, she's given a key to a box that contains her birth records and, surprise, surprise, the Baroness turns out to be her real mother. Turns out the Baroness was a career-oriented woman, and she didn't want a child getting in the way of her work, so she ordered her daughter to be killed, because I guess the easiest way to give a villain sympathy is to just give them an overly dramatic backstory. The problem is that now the movie dances dangerously close to evil genetics territory, one of the weakest justifications for a villain, and certainly not a message that social justice mobs can get behind. Not to mention the odd villainization of the working woman's struggle. I mean, come on Disney, at least get the virtues you're trying to signaling in order. Cruella then confronts the Baroness as Estella at her charity gala, and the Baroness pretends to accept her before pushing her over a cliff. However, Cruella's gang of misfits have directed the audience outside where they witness the misdeed. Estella survives, having built a parachute into her clothing in a very Saturday morning cartoon style, and returns to the party as Cruella just in time to witness the Baroness being taken away.
It's a trick.
Utilizing her birthright, and with a little help from the Baroness's lawyer Arthur, the other person in the original 101 Dalmatians, she acquires the Baroness's vast fortune, including the manor Hellman Hall, which she renames to Hell Hall, because it will only be perfect when it fits a woman. And that's the end of the overly dramatic tale of Cruella the less evil, misunderstood, and morally justified dog murderer. I've seen this film compared to Joker by many critics, as though Emma Stone getting in fashion battles is comparable to Todd Phillips' dramatic and morose examination of a broken man abandoned by society. Cruella is a role model for the new generation of wholly terrible people, given a weak justification retroactively, and celebrated as a hero for seeking her revenge. Cruella is a generally misanthropic romp around the ham-fisted, half-baked thought of what could possibly make a fashionista born in the 1950s haute couture culture want to kill a precious floofer. Well, in a mid-credit scene, Cruella is seen giving 2 baby Dalmatians, the parent dogs of the titular 101 Dalmatians, to Roger and Anita, the family in the original animated feature. Now forget that Roger was working for the Baroness, and betrayed her so Cruella could take away her fortune and manor and all of her nice stuff. His ultimate reward isn't anything monetary or substantial, besides saving Cruella's life. No, instead she gives him a large animal to spend money on and care for, presumably so she can harvest its children in the future. I guess this movie approves of culling in a backhanded way, since Cruella doesn't start hunting their dogs until there are 101 of them, obviously in violation of city municipal codes. See, Cruella is a hero. A new hero for the new generation of self-obsessed egotists who have no problem screwing each other over if it means they can crawl an inch forward. She represents their questionable self-image as a fashionable, forward-thinking freedom fighter who could be good, if only the world would let them. It's victim complex video, Sympathy for the Devil cinema, and above all, it's middle school book fair trash. While the form itself is enjoyable, with charismatic performances on both sides of the rivalry, and stylish dress and scenes to rival any period piece, the actual substance of the film is severely lacking, and ultimately I'm left wondering, what was the real point of all this? Emma looking like a snack though.